This video will go through the answers to the genetics review worksheet number 2. So in our first question here, we're looking at peas. Tall is a dominant trait over the dwarf phenotype. If a plant is homozygous for tall, so they must have the genotype big T, or whatever letter we choose to represent it. One that's homozygous for dwarf would have to be homozygous recessive, or little t here. What would be the appearance or phenotype of the F1 plants? So to get F1, we're crossing our two parents, so a big T with a little t, and we get out a cross here with all big T's. They all have the dominant allele in them, so they would all be tall in this case. Now, the phenotypic ratios of the F2 generation, which was a result of an F1 cross, so taking one of these and crossing it with itself, so a big T crossed with itself, you get big T, big T, big T, little t, little t, little t. Our phenotypic ratios, all three of these have at least one big T, so it would be tall. So we have 3 tall and 1 short for dwarf. Now the phenotypic ratios of the F1 crossed with one of its tall parents. So the F1 was our big T, little t. If that had been crossed with its tall parent, the tall parent was a big T, big T. A big T, big T, big T, little t, big T, big T, big T, little t. Phenotype, all of these have at least one big T, so they're all going to be tall. So we have 4 tall to 0 anything else. If a tall plant crossed with a dwarf one produces offspring, about half of which are tall and half are dwarf, what are the genotypes of the two parents? So the dwarf one has to be little t. So we know that's going to be one of our two parents. If the other one was big T, all of them would be tall because they would all have a big T. So we know that the other parent has to be big T, little t. That gives us a oops, we got a little t here, and a little t here. So that gives us our 2-to-2 ratio, or about half to half. So the parents had to be little t, and big T, little t were our two parents. So 2 black female mice are crossed with a brown male in several litters. That's their offspring. Female 1 produced 9 black and 7 browns, and female 2 produced 27 blacks. So what can you determine about the inheritance of the black and brown fur color from these data? So first off, the fact that we only have black and brown are only 2 possibilities. This is probably a dominant recessive trait. And the fact we have a brown male that crossed with a black one sometimes produced about half and half black and brown, and crossed with a different black one produced 100% black. So what that looks like to me, our brown one is probably recessive. So maybe we'll say the brown one is recessive, little b. And our 2 black ones, the one that produced half and half was probably a heterozygous individual, and the one that made all black ones was probably a homozygous individual. Because if the brown one here was crossed with that one, then we would expect to see in this cross they would all have the dominant allele, so they would all be black, which is what we saw with that second cross. And the first cross, crossing that individual big B, little b with a little b, we get our 2-to-2 ratio, or about half, 9 and 7. Not perfectly half, but pretty close to it. So we can determine that brown is recessive and black is dominant. So the likely genotypes of the parents, the brown male is probably little b, because that's recessive. And our female 1 was most likely heterozygous, big B, little b, and female 2 is most likely homozygous, big B, big B. Now we don't know this for sure. The one we're not entirely sure about is here female 2. We could potentially have that have been heterozygous big B, little b, but that having 57 offspring all be black when we're expecting 50 to 50, that would be exceedingly rare. So we can essentially eliminate that possibility. The odds are so low at that point. All right, so number 4 here, we have another trait. Some red-eyed fruit flies. They're mated. They're both red-eyed, and they have some offspring. 140 of them are red eyes, and 48 of them have bright orange eyes. So right away, we've got 2 different phenotypes. We're thinking this is a dominant recessive trait. We started out with 2 that were red-eyed, and we ended up with offspring that looked slightly different. That looked different than them. They had bright orange. So we know right away that if we have 2 parents that look one way and they have offspring that are different than them, the parents must have had the dominant trait, because if they were recessive and both parents were recessive, they can only have offspring that look like them. So red must be dominant in this case, and the way that we know that is that the parents with that trait had an offspring that looked different than them. And so the parents, therefore, must have been heterozygous in order to get an offspring that looked different than them. So if we think about our cross that we must have had here in order for that to happen, the only way we could have had parents be red and end up with this orange offspring is if both of them were heterozygous. If a pure breeding purple flowered pea plant is crossed with a pure breeding white flowered pea plant. So pure breeding, again, is the same thing as homozygous. So we've got a big P, and little p, little p. We have to remember from Mendel here that purple was dominant and white was recessive. And we also can figure that by looking at this question that all of the offspring are purple. So that tells us right away that purple is dominant. So then that cross there gives us offspring that are little p here, all big P, little p. Okay, so that's our F1 generation. And then 2 F1 generations are crossed. So a big P, little p crossed with another big P, little p. We have big P, big P, big P, little p, big P, little p, little p, little p. 2,400 of them exist. About how many would we expect to have white flowers? So 1/4, 25%. We need to know what is 1/4 of 2,500. So we can just multiply that by 2,400, and that would be, expect about 600 of them to be white. So when humans interlace their fingers, crossing the left thumb over the right thumb, I'm going to erase this here so we can see, is a dominant trait. 2 left-over right parents have a right-over left daughter. What are the genotypes of the parents and their daughter? So left-over is dominant. 2 left-over right parents have a right-over left daughter. So this is kind of like one of the problems we saw above. In order for parents to have a offspring that look different than them, the parents must have the dominant trait. So we'll say that both parents are heterozygous, and in order for them to have one that's different, they must have the dominant trait and be heterozygous in order to end up with that one possibility there of their daughter being different than them. So here, suppose a father of type B blood and a mother of type O blood have a child of type O. What are the chances that their next child will be type O, type B, type A, type AB? So if the mother is type O blood, her genotype has to be OO. The father could be BB or BO. However, they have a child with type O. So thinking about this, if the father were type B, even if the mother is O, all of the children would be BO, they would all be type B. That can't be the possibility. So the father must have been BO, the mother had to be OO, so we have BO, BO, OO, OO, and here we've got 2 out of the 4 squares OO, so that's a 50% chance of having a type O child, and 2 out of the 4 squares are BO, so 50% chance of having a type B child. The fact that the first child was type O has no bearing on what the next child will be. These probabilities are independent of each other. Suppose a father and mother claim that they have been given the wrong baby at the hospital. Both parents are type A blood, and the baby they have given is type O. What evidence bearing on this case does this fact have? Well, let's see. Is this possible that they have the wrong baby? So, or is this possible that this is actually their baby? So if both parents were AO, they potentially could end up with a child that is type O. So based on the evidence that is given, this child could be theirs. Now, they also have some other possibilities where it would not end up as O. If one of them happened to be AA instead of AO, then they couldn't end up with a child who's type O. But we don't know that given the information. All we know is they have type A blood, so it is definitely possible that they could have a type O child. So two people with type O blood have 3 children. How many of those children will also have type O blood? So if they have type O blood, they have to be OO. So we have an OO crossed with another OO. The only possibility we can get out here is OOs. So all 3 of them will be type O blood. And finally here, we have codominance. We're looking at the coat of fur in cattle. Looks very similar to the coat of fur in horses. We have this roan color that's a mixed. So RR is red, WW is white, and RW is roan. So this is a codominance inheritance pattern. There's 3 different phenotypes and 2 different alleles, both of which are dominant. So if we have a homozygous white cow, that would be WW, and crossed with a roan bull, so roan is the mix, that would be RW. We'd have RW, RW, WW, WW, and we want the phenotypic ratios. We would see 2 RWs, or the phenotype of that would be roan, and 2 white. And what should the phenotype and genotypes for parent cattle be if the farmer wanted only cattle with red fur? So if they want only red fur, their offspring have to be RR. The only way we can ensure that a cross would only end up with RR offspring would be if both of the parents were both RR. So the only way we can make sure that we have baby cattle that are red fur is to start out with 2 cows that are both red fur.